a special episode today. Today we're talking about horsepower. But what exactly is horsepower? You see, these horses behind me don't actually make 1 horsepower. A lot of people think that 1 horsepower is the maximum power that a single horse can generate, when in fact a single horse can actually produce 15 horsepower. Well, the term horsepower was adopted in the late 18th century by Scottish engineer James Watt. Yes, Watt as in W-A-T-T. He wanted to compare his steam engines to draft horses to compare the power. In fact, anything that generates any kind of power can be measured in horsepower. For example, the small 40,000 BTU barbecue in your backyard, which is actually quite small, actually produces 15.7 horsepower. Pretty interesting. But that's not as impressive as the 3 main engines on the space shuttle, which combined generated 37 million horsepower. Wrap your head around that.
Wow.
But even bigger, their sun, which is currently behind clouds, generates 5 times 10 to the 23rd horsepower. That's 5 times 10 followed by 23 zeros horsepower, or about 380 yottawatts of electricity every single second. So the real question is, how much horsepower can a human generate? 1 horsepower is actually defined as lifting 75 kilograms 1 meter into the air against Earth's gravity in 1 second. Now, depending on your oxygen intake, calorie intake, your height and weight, and your metabolic rate, it varies quite a bit, but the average person can produce anywhere from 100 to 200 watts an hour just sitting around. Now, that's pretty impressive, but that's barely a horsepower at all, not even close. That's maybe a quarter of a horsepower at best. So if you're looking at a cyclist, a world-class athlete cyclist, if they're just finishing a long endurance race and they're sprinting to the finish line, they can produce about 2.2 horsepower in that final stretch, a sprint. But the final sort of instantaneous muscle burst movements that athletes produce can go upwards of 5 horsepower, which is beyond impressive for human standards. 75 kilograms is about what I weigh, maybe slightly more. Now, I could do that, but not in 1 second. It would take me a little longer, but I could lift that. So that would be lifting my weight in 1 second against Earth's gravity. That means I could produce 1 single horsepower. Now, since I probably couldn't do that in 1 second, I would say I would produce a little less than 1 horsepower. But there are certain movements, like just starting off the finish line in a 100-meter dash, or throwing a ball or something that could exert more than, say, 2 horsepower. So, I hope you've learned something in this episode. I apologize if the lighting wasn't good, but I thought maybe adding the bike in the background here to sort of help with aiding my video would be kind of good. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been a while since I've been on camera. Decided to do something different this time. So, thank you for watching, and as always, stay curious.